Aston, welcome to yet another exciting moment with us on this program, Future Ambassadors. Today we want to look at drug abuse. We've looked at it before, we talked about drug abuse before. But we want to look at the other parts, some topics or some aspect that we did not really touch. So we want to revisit it and deal with it, most especially this festive period, because we know most people want to do drugs this festive period. So we are here to enlighten you or to tell you to shun it. So with me in the studio are two lovely guests that will be telling us more that we need to know about drug abuse. I have a Deputy Superintendent of Narcotic and Bamishaye Fumilayo Lovett. You're welcome to this program.
Thank you.
And I also have a youth in the house. I have Fayi Minu Tobiloba. You're welcome to this program.
Thank you, Mom.
Okay, so now we're looking at the second part, or the part 2 of drug abuse. Toby, you weren't here the last time, but let's know from you what drug is before we go to the Deputy Superintendent. What is drug to you?
Okay, drug is any substance we use to help our system, and it could be either positive or negative.
Okay.
Yes.
Why do you say positive or negative?
Because positive in the sense that we could use it for an ailment.
Okay.
And negative in the sense that we could use it for depressant stimulation. That is where they abuse the drug.
Okay. So let me go to the superintendent to tell us more. Ma, can you remind us of what drug is? Because we looked at it the other time you came. So now tell us in total what actually is drug abuse.
Yeah, drug abuse have been variously defined depending on individual perspective. For a layman, drug is anything they take to take care of a problem, health problem. And to a pharmacist or a medical personnel, it's to say chemical preparation that is being used on a patient to either diagnose, treat, or cure an ailment, or manage an ailment. But the World Health Organization helps us to understand holistically what drug is. Defines drug as that substance which, other than food or water, which when we take it, affect the way the body functions, the mood, and the thinking process.
Okay. So now, Toby, you've heard this now from the authority. So now, but I know you study criminology. So if one wants to detect someone that is into drug, because drug is someone related to crime, how do we detect that? Do you know the signs?
Well, there are so many ways to detect. You can detect physically. You can detect using a machine. And that depending, it also depends on the type of drug the person is using. So
okay.
If the person is using probably or heroin, you could most likely detect from the facial look.
Okay.
And his actions. These are actions.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are the types of drugs that you know about?
Yeah, different types of drugs. We have types of drugs that people abuse.
Yes.
Yes, we have cocaine, heroin. It will surprise you to know that people also use combine drugs used for animals for themselves too.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to Madam, the Deputy Superintendent. Ma, can you tell us more about drug abuse, the signs that we need to know? How do we watch out for signs, especially parents at home? How do you know when your child is going into drug, and how can you curtail it?
Thank you so very much. I love this question because ignorance is one of the major reasons why people go into drugs, and why they don't access help on time. A problem known, they say, is half solved.
Sorry.
If a parent or a guardian or a neighbor or a friend could detect someone had gone or tried out harmful substance, there is likelihood in our kind of society that the person could provide a much needed intervention on time, and thereby helping that person to curtail that habit before it goes too far.
Okay.
And so it is very important for everyone to be aware of those things to look out for. There are many signs one could see when someone begins to try out drug or harmful drug. Okay. Like I said somewhere, it depends on the type of drug and the stage and the person's nature or the way he's raised. Talking about nature and nurture.
Okay.
All right. Because someone from a background that drug is commonly found and used could take drug for so long and you won't even know he has started using, because he has all the mannerism and attitude already, and he has the tolerance. For example, a child whose parents have been using drug before he was born, if he is exposed to drug, he may not quickly exhibit a reaction or symptoms.
So there's transfer of
yes, it's possible. Yes, it is what you eat that you transfer to your children. And that is why it's important that we are careful the habit we form. There are some parents who will abuse some substances and later give it up. Maybe they got help on time, or they just made up their mind they're not going to do it, and they are shocked years down the line after having kids, and the kids pick it up. Okay. So there are some things that are being transferred through the gene of parents. So talking about signs of drug abuse, you can look out for the physical deterioration. Someone who used to look tidy like the gentleman, look tidy, pay attention to details of how he turns out when he's going out, may begin from the day one, may be disoriented. Instead of shaving up and looking clean, it will just, I'm okay. Okay? When you begin to observe that in your words, I think the alarm should go off in your mind that there could be a problem. Even though I will not advise that you quickly rush to conclusion, but that will guide you to watch out, to monitor, to also, and to engage such a person. Another sign one could also look out for is some culture the person may be embracing. For example, for a youngster, it may begin to exhibit those cultures associated with people with that kind of habit. Like, I'm sorry to say we have decent Rastafarians, but we also have a lot who believes that you cannot be a Rastafarian without looking rough and smoking. So you begin to see them with those paraphernalias. We call it the accessories to the drug culture. And again, some people could exhibit change of behavior. For someone who is gentlemanly, who is calm, easygoing, talk with courtesy, they may begin to be rude depending on substance being used. Okay, and so many signs. For another use, when they are in a house like this, you and I know that one is not supposed to use in a house, in a closed room. Okay, you see, but will tell you, I'm okay, I'm cool. And that is why we need to be careful who our youths idolize. Who is their role model? Most of
some young ones might just even exhibit, just copy, because the person sees.
Yes, but they have something to hide. For someone also who suddenly pick up a habit of using it may be an attempt to cover up. As time goes on, depending on length of the habit, you may begin to see discoloration
of the lips,
of the teeth, even the eyes. Okay, like I said, depends on the substance being abused, because an IDU, that is injection drug user, may not exhibit
change of
teeth, because the property in cocaine or heroin is not the same like cigarette or cannabis. Okay. So it is tar, a gaseous chemical that is found in cigarette that discolor the teeth. So, but it will also guide you to know the type of drug being used here and the appropriate action to
Okay.
take.
Earlier on, you said when people see such signs, they should try and pay attention or watch the person very well.
Yes.
Do you think in our present society, people tend to want to interfere with what the neighbor is doing or what is happening to the next person? Because we feel that everybody wants to be on his own now, unlike our former environment that we are like family that we
care
watch
about
over.
our neighbors.
Yes, but now it's not like that. Why is it happening that way?
The society is becoming dynamic and heterogeneous in nature. Yes, everybody wants to be me, myself, and my family. But we are cultural people. Irrespective, there are still some part of the country that they don't eat alone. You put a tray, heap food, and everybody dip hand. Irrespective of how we want to portray ourselves as being elite and all that, we still care.
Okay.
We still reach out. So even though we don't advise people barging in on other people's affairs, but the awareness that if anything goes wrong with him, it might affect you. I will give you an example.
Yeah.
There is a current substance being abused presently that is made from crystal meth. Okay. Crystal meth is a methamphetamine derivative that they mix with some stuff and youth are now abusing. Commonly they call it Mkpuru Mary in some community. Crystal meth knock off your brain. You don't know what you're doing. If someone is unfortunate to have a neighbor who has abused or used that substance and you say it doesn't concern you, the day it will concern you, you may not live to tell the story. Because when they are under the influence of that substance,
they can do anything.
They can do anything. The drug tells them, sends an impossible message to the brain. And that is why someone will tell you his mother who raised him, who cared for him, is now a witch, and the sister is an accomplice, and he will cut the head without remorse. Will eradicate a whole family and say it doesn't concern me. So it is a duty for us. Maybe there is a need for reenactment of our culture, because as Africans, as Nigerians, we care about our next neighbor.
Yeah.
We are charitable people, and that is why when we want to provide intervention for someone, a sufferer, or someone who has the problem of drug dependence, we approach it holistically. There is a role for the next of kin to play. There's a role for the people who are close to the person. Okay, his primary constituents, his primary socialization group, the people who have influence one way or the other about him. Then we should start to look out for one another. And when you look out, it may not be that you quickly intervene. You could get help from appropriate quarters.
Okay,
that's what I think.
Thank you very much, Toby. Now we want to look at why do people go into drug? Why?
Well,
is it the economy? Is it what is really carrying the guys youth into drugs? Is it be bored or what? Let me hear from you.
There are reasons why people go into drugs. Family, the economy, lack of unemployment, so many reasons why people go into drugs.
Okay.
So for peer pressure now, when you are around friends that use drugs, like they tend to want to force you into drugs. Like nowadays, when you there are drugs available. Like there's something they call brownies, is a cake. In that cake, there's
yes, laced with drugs.
Yes, no, there are drinks, there are drugs inside there's India hemp inside the drink. So once they go for such parties, they want to also feel among, blend with people in the party, so they tend to take this thing, and from there they start taking it, and gradually they become an addict. They will start abusing drugs. Or if they are unemployed, like they have been
Through
looking for
service
jobs,
or through school, and okay.
or the stress from school. There are so many reasons why people don't take drugs.
Okay, let's hear from you, Ma. Why do people go into drugs?
I so much thank God that he's aware of all this and much more. Many reasons, but I would like to compartmentalize it into age grades. For the youth, their reason is quite different from adults.
Okay.
For the man and the woman, there are different reasons. I'll tell you why. An housewife where there is trouble of kidnapping, bomb blast and all that may go into drug habit just to catch
fight the
sleep.
fear. Okay.
Because they are always apprehensive, scared, afraid. Some of them also have problem with sleep, insomnia, and they go for medication, and they happen to be treated with some psychoactive drug substances, prescriptions, and after they have treated that ailment, it becomes an habit. For a youth, he has mentioned a whole lot why youth go into it, but I'd like to point out some other areas that we may not be paying attention to. The media.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
will see the most beautiful advert on air will be about alcohol, cigarettes. If you watch film, some days ago I learned an organization is approaching the film industry that they should incorporate cigarettes, their brand of cigarette, into their films.
Okay.
Because if you look around you, it's as if people no longer smoke openly. And they want to reenact it. Profit is dropping. So the adverts youth are exposed to kind of, because we glamorize the habit of drug use. They will tell you, even when you check the pack of a cigarette, they always hide the warning. You cannot use this if you are not above 70. They will hide it. It will be at the tail end of the backpack and very tiny. And then they will tell you cigarette smokers are liable to. But is it in front page?
And even most of the adverts, they don't use people falling into gutter.
No, they will use people that are jumping heights. And then what you see over time psychologically tend to refine the brain and kind of make the brain to see it as the ideal. That is another reason. Another reason is peer pressure, like you mentioned. Everybody want to be. Everybody want to belong. You go to a club, you are not taking shisha now. Then you are a Jew man. He dares not go to a club and not take shisha. It's a fad. It is the happening thing. The other day I even see an underage taking it, and the mother is taking it. And the mother made up her face and look, sexy and all that, because they want to now begin to make us feel like if you live without drug, you are no longer in vogue. You are not in tune with time. So the environment, availability. There are certain communities that they call ogogoro na water.
That's in the data.
Okay, akpeteshi na, in that kind of environment, drug culture is a way of life.
Yeah.
And then a child being brought up without adequate information
will follow suit.
Will follow suit. Oh, when I get to a certain, how do people pick up habit of snuffing? They snort. What do they call it? Snuff.
Okay,
they call it snuff.
Even
they don't take it from yes, they snort cocaine too. They don't take it from childhood, but once they are hitting teenage and a child wants to show people that, look, I've come of age, I'm now a man, he will start taking what his father is taking. That is why parents should be careful. We can go on. And for an adult, it could be economic pressure. You hear some men say, I want to go and stretch my leg. Where are they going to stretch their leg? Beer parlor. Joints.
Okay.
When they say, I want to go and cool my brain, how do you cool your brain with a stimulant?
Okay, we don't really have much time, but why do people deny getting into or using drugs?
God bless you. It's a major problem, and that is why the problem become endemic, if you permit me to use that word. Most people deny depending on the stage of use, because drug is such a thing that it gives, I call them sufferer now, a kind of feeling of happiness, some strange happiness, such that they cannot understand why you are telling them they have a problem when it's giving them such reaction, depending on the substance being abused. Okay, for a depressant, for example, cocaine, you take cocaine, heroin, you want to sleep, you are dull. Codeine, you want to sleep, you okay, you sleep, it will be like 5 minutes to you, but to people who knows you have slept for 2 days. So immediately he wakes up, so when you say you have a problem, he can't understand this thing that gives him so much pleasure. They deny it. They feel that you want to take away what gives them so joy. They found companionship in that new substance. They begin to take pleasure in that substance more than their family, their friends, their job, and that is why as time goes on they lose interest in things that matter. Even to eat becomes hard work to them. To cook, to go to work becomes stress to them. Okay? Because they have now found a new companion. Okay. That is why we encourage people to see people who use drug as people with sickness. They need help. If someone has malaria, you see every member of the family showing concern, showing empathy. You want to know how they're faring. That is how we should see people use drug, because they really need our concerted effort and assistance to recover.
Thank you so much. Toby, this is a festive period, and I think and I know most there'll be joints, there'll be celebration in different areas and all that. And don't you think most people will want to like do some stuff with drugs?
Definitely people want to do take drugs, use drugs, especially the youths. They feel it enhanced their enjoyment in the parties and like it gives them more joy. So they will definitely want to use drugs during their parties. Okay,
ma'am. What's the message for people this festive period about drug and how to stay safe?
I have so many messages, but I will break it down. Before you try anything, ask yourself, after now, how will my life fare? There are some substances, once you are introduced to them, you get hooked once and for all. And your life can never be positively the same. So before you try anything out, ask yourself, will my life still be meaningful after this? And before you go anywhere, be sure you know the people you will be meeting. Be careful what you take, what you try out.
Like you just talking about cake. You might think it's a normal cake.
Yes, cookies. The other day, some youngsters were arrested for selling laced cookies to young children in school. Imagine just 3 cookies for 3.5. This economic gain is what is making drug to thrive. And daily, you and I are thinking of how to solve social problem. These people are also inventing new substances to evade arrest and prosecution. So they are now looking at local things that the law did not cover, that have almost the same or even higher effect than the known hard drugs, to get people hooked on the habit. So if you are going anywhere, especially for our youth, be careful what you eat. Be careful the drink you take. Some substances will leave you permanently deranged if you are not careful. And they say prevention is better than cure. Yes, there could be help for drug sufferers, okay, but evidence that we have is that it is more expensive, it is painstaking, and it wastes time. And most often than not, it's never like when
Your normal self.
they were without the habit. So be careful what you get involved in. Be careful.
Thank you very much. Toby, your last message, your last word for people at home, youth especially.
Yeah, like Sha said, be careful what you take when you go out. Always let people know where you are going to, and if you are taking a drink, make sure you know the source of the drink, or make
open
sure
it yourself.
yes, you open it.
Even the
yourself.
opened, some people use syringe
So put it.
to infuse a drink with harmful drug.
Thank you.
For
very
girls
much.
that want to take juice, you cannot guarantee. Go with your drink. They won't know you brought your drink. I always go with my bottle of water.
Now, how can you search when there's plenty to drink?
You have to weigh what you eat and the cost of it to your life.
Oh, thank you very much. We can't exhaust just this drug abuse. Thank you very much, my guests, for coming, and thank you for being there, my people at home. You've seen it, you've heard it. Stay away from drug. Try and avoid gatherings and all that can lead you into drug. Or to come your way again on the same program next week. Merry Christmas.
Bye.